Hi, welcome back to my channel. It is Christmas Day and we're getting ready with this wearable green eye look and red lip. So stay tuned if you want to see how I got it done. Thanks. Okay, so we're first gonna prime our eyes. And I'm using the Revolution Cosmetics Super Base. It lasts forever. Just put a dot on each eyelid. Just take a brush just a fluffy brush just to buff it out. It's really, really light. I don't know if everybody else will like it, but it's like the perfect base for makeup. And then it also cancels out a lot of red. Now I'm going to take the Makeup Forever Aqua Resist Smoky Shadow in Jungle. These are super easy to use. Just put a little bit on my lash line. And then another, this is like a short compacted brush. This is a MAC brush that's really old, so I don't know what it is, and I just kind of make sure that I get the whole entire lid. It doesn't have to be like perfect, because once you blend shadows and stuff over it, you won't see all the, parts that aren't perfect. So yeah, it's kind of like a wearable green. Not everybody wants to wear green eyeshadow. So now I'm going to take the Charlotte Tilbury Luxury Palette in Green Light. So you can kind of see the colors. But I'm going to take this color, Pop Scintiller. I'm going to put that all over the lid. So it's not super green, it's a little more like khaki, and I'm just kind of going to pat it. See how shimmery it is? And shimmers are the easiest to blend, thankfully. Now I'm just gonna take a cleanish, fluffy brush and I'm just going to buff that in just so the edges aren't super rough. You can blend forever, but you don't need to do a ton. I'm going to take a little bit of this Prime Preparer color because it's a little bit more green. I'm just going to take it on my finger, just pat it on the kind of the inner corner, just for a little bit more pop of green, but again, it's not too green. Yeah, okay. Now I'm going to take the gold color in Enhance Rehauser. And on a little pencil brush, just tap into it. Just pat on the inner corner. So you have a little bit of like a gradient from gold to that green to that khaki, right? And now I'm going to the bronzer I'm going to wear is Warmth, the powder bronzer I'm going to wear. So I'm going to take a little tiny bit of that onto that same crease fluffy brush. And, sorry, my phone was ringing. I'm like, who is that? And just buff that in to your crease. So it just warms it up a bit. So you can always wear like any cool color, and if it seems too cool, you can just warm it up with a little bronzer in your crease and it buffs it out and it just warms it up. And there you go. So now to finish up like the top of the eye look, I'm going to use a really dark brown to just kind of smoke out my lash line. And I really have been loving this Give a Glam Powder Kiss Soft Matte Eyeshadow by MAC. They're super easy to use, and this color is just really nice. And this brush I've been using to do that is a beauty blender brush. I don't know what it's called, but look how it's shaped. It's like this perfect little swoop. So just take a little bit of that, and I get really close to my lash line, and then I just kind of wing it out a little bit. Not too much. But it's so easy. So you have a little bit of a wing. But it's not harsh or really dramatic. I mean, once you have mascara and your lashes curled, everything changes too. Just gonna curl my lashes. And then I'm gonna take the one size Bodacious black liner and just tight line a little bit. Now I'm gonna prep the skin. I already washed my face and used my products, but I haven't done anything on the other under eyes. I usually wait till after I do my eye makeup in case there's any fallout, or I'm like, you know, messing with them a bunch because they're pretty dry. So kind of like to let them be a bit until I add moisture. So I'm gonna use the Clinique All About Eye Serum Rollerball. And you can see my eyes. My under eyes are pretty red right now. They're not only dry, but I've been using Latisse again, and they usually make my eyes pretty red. And then I'm going to use the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched eye base. Super creamy. Just a little bit on the pad of my finger. And I don't use my pointer finger just because I want to use a less dominant one, because I want to just softly pat this in and be really delicate with that eye area. So I'm going to let that sit for a second. And my skin is also really dry, which is never really happens, but since we moved back to Michigan from California, I've noticed that I'm drier. So I'm going to use a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. Just a little bit. It's really thick. It's really nice. Just a little bit like that. Warm it up with my fingers. Just place it all over my face and neck. So now, it feels good, and the makeup's gonna lay a lot better because we have a nice base on. Now I'm gonna put a little bit of foundation on just to even everything out. We're just staying home today. It's Christmas, but we're having my sister and my grandma over, so just gonna look somewhat put together. This is the Bounce Skin Tint. Mine's in light too. It's really nice. You know, it's my color, but it's always seemed a little light for me. Maybe just because it has a good amount of coverage. Probably shouldn't do this, but I just kind of do a couple dots on my face. This MAC, what does that say? 188F. And it just kind of paints it all over. See, it just kind of looks a little light, but I think it's just because it's evening out everything. And sometimes when you become like all one color and my freckles kind of fade and the redness kind of fades, you feel a little fair. So that's when we add bronzer and blush and all that. Cool. Alrighty, now I'm going to use this amazing concealer, the Kosas Revealer, what does it say? Super Creamy and Brightening Concealer. And it's really nice. Has serum in it, so it's doing a little bit more than just cover. And this amazing brush, which I've talked about on, I think, like TikTok or something, the VIEVE 119 Conceal and Prime. It's just the perfect little under eye buffer. And I like to just put a little in my inner corner and a little bit fanned out, just for a little lift and brightening, and then a little bit of coverage here, but not too much. You don't have to use a lot. If you're using a decent concealer, you don't have to do a ton. I mean, more power to you if you want to add a ton of concealer, whatever you want, who cares? But for me, I just need a little bit, or I just like a little bit, and then I just buff it everywhere. Nice, now we're not so red. And it also helps like kind of sharpen up the edges of your eye makeup. I can just kind of buff around my nose. Now just for a little bit of dew, I'm using the, it's so worn out. I have a little one. It's the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter. This one's too light. I mean, everybody raves about this and everyone loves the e.l.f. one, but I haven't gotten the e.l.f. one yet just because I still have so much of this. I literally just put it on my cheekbones, and I'm buffing it out with the Makeup Shack T29. I just pat it up because I honestly don't like dew everywhere on my skin, and it might just because I am acne prone that I don't like this area. I don't want it to be dewy. This area I don't want it to be dewy. It literally just want it to be on my cheeks. Now we're gonna cream bronze a little bit, and I'm gonna use the Makeup by Mario Softsculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer in light medium. It's like the perfect color, not too orange, not too muddy, and it really just helps kind of warm up the skin. That's what bronzer does, right? So I'm just using a little fluffy brush, and I just kind of stamp it next to my hairline and buff that up. You can see it already kind of warms up the area, but it's so creamy and smooth. It's not hard to work with. Then I stamp my cheeks. Then I kind of do my whole nose. Because then if I want to like highlight or contour or anything, I'll do that on top of it. But I usually just like the look of that. So you don't need a ton of product. But for me, I don't bring it down here with this kind of a product. I don't know why. I never really like how it sits or how it buffs out. So when I do powder bronze, I will add down here, but for some reason the cream always looks funny down here, no matter what product I use. So I'll do that later. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of the Cheekslime Lip and Chick Tint in Fielding by Freck. You know, the people that make that little Freck marker pen liquid thing. Just take a little bit on the back of my hand. And I'm gonna take like any kind of fluffy brush I have. Whatever this is a big, just powder brush. I'm gonna buff it on the back of my hand. It's a really pretty kind of like terracotta-y color. I'm just gonna stamp that on my cheek area. nose. Get a little bit more. I've kind of always done that cold girl look. I like blush on my nose. I always have. I've gotten better about it. I used to do a ton, where it looked like I've been sick for weeks. But now I've kind of died that down a bit. I'm going to set with the Laura Mercier translucent powder. Just gonna take a little bit into the top of a little bit. That was a lie. Okay, there we go. A little bit in the top of the cap. And I'm just going to take a fluffy brush. This is a Morphe E13. Swirl it in the top of the cap, kind of tap it off, and just I pat it a little bit at first, and then I kind of swipe it around, and then I get under my eye pretty good, because you don't want that to look cakey, and that's the first thing for me that looks cakey. Buff that in really good, and you can already see it, like just evens everything out. Everything looks like it has a filter on it all of a sudden. Perfect. With the Bare Minerals warmth, and I was just patting the top of this so that there's not a ton of product on the cap, because you don't need a ton of that. And then again, I'm going to take a big fluffy brush, swirl the top of the cap, tap it off, and I always kind of start with my cheeks, my forehead, and now I'm going to go on my jawline and my neck, and a little bit around my lips. This lighting here is making it look like super orange, and then when I look in my mirror, it's not. So, that's weird. So, for some reason it's looking orange here, but not here. Whatever. So I'm going to just take that brush that I used for the translucent powder. I'm just going to buff it out to kind of settle it down a bit. Maybe if I move this back. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay, fabulous. So now we have our base done, except for one more thing I want to do. The VIEVE Skin Dew. I don't know if you watch Jamie Genevieve on YouTube, but she's just so pretty. I love watching her, and she came out with her own brand, and this product is just so cool and so nice, and it smells so good. So this is what she does, and I've kind of just copied that. She puts a little bit here where her like thumb pads are. She kind of heats it up like this, and then she stamps it. And so now I do that. And see how it just gives a little bit of a dewy glow. And it doesn't move any of the powder that I have under, which is crazy, because usually they're, you know, to push it away because it's not a liquid, but it's like, it's tacky, like a tacky kind of product. But it always works. It looks good. Now I'm going to finish up with my eyebrows and then my lip. So for my eyebrows, I'm going to use two products today. I don't want them to be super defined. I just want them to look clean and finished. So Boy Brow in Blonde by Glossier, I'm going to start with. And I'm just going to pick up the tails. clean them up, make them look a little sharper. Even just that little bit. And this brow is so much higher than this one. So I always kind of brush this one up a little bit more. And I always kind of brush this one down a little bit. Just so they get a tad more even. I know, they're sisters, not twins. But we try for perfection, don't we? And then to set it, the 24-hour brow setter by Benefit. This is like shellac. It'll like keep it in place forever. And so I just kind of, and it also kind of blurs what you just did, so if it feels heavy or too dark, this definitely helps. See? Perfect. Okay, now some mascara. I'm going to recurl my lashes. And then I'm going to use the Push Up Lashes, the Pillow Talk by Charlotte Tilbury. And so I usually just keep my mascara very close to my lash line. I don't want them to look spidery, I just want them to look kind of fluffy. And sometimes if I pull it all the way through, it tends to look spidery. So I just kind of wiggle it, move it halfway up my lash. And since there's tight line there and they're, you know, also dyed, you don't need a ton of product. So you can kind of keep that look. And now that there's like the black against it, it looks a little bit more green too, which is nice. Fabulous. Now we're gonna finish with our lips, and I'm going to first use a lip stain, the Charlotte Tilbury Tinted Love. This one is in Bohemian Kiss. I put some on earlier, but it's kind of worn off. And it is really nice, even just to wear on its own. It just kind of stains the lip, which is really nice. And so now, just because it's Christmas, I want to do something a little festive, but since we're not really going anywhere, I just kind of want to do something minimal. This is the Makeup by Mario Ultra Suede Sculpting Lip Pencil in Angela. It's a pencil again, so it's actually creamier than most regular pencils. So it feels really good, and it lasts a really long time on the lips. And since they're pretty moisturized from that lip stain, you can kind of move it around a bit. And these have a little brush at the end. So to like put it in place, move it around. So I could just wear that by itself. But I just got this a couple weeks ago, and it's the Glossier, what is it? It's a lip gloss, and it's called Red Rouge. Of course, it's not going to be like this pigmented, but it's just a hint, which is really nice. See? So it's not too in your face, but it does give you a little shine, a little redness, kind of keeps it all put together. Oh, there you go. There's the final look. A wearable green eye for anybody, bronze skin, and a glowy red lip. If you like this video, please subscribe, like it, comment, what have you. Have a happy holiday, and I will see you next time. Bye.